Thank you for downloading the Inspirational Women of Portsmouth podcast. My name is Ronnie Edwards and I run Pomodzi Creatives, which hosts the Inspirational Women of Portsmouth Awards. These awards mark International Women's Day through a nomination process where anyone can be nominated for being inspirational, regardless of their context. The project also raises money for the Rape Counselling Service Parks. This series gives us a chance to get to know some of the women who were nominated for the awards. I hope you enjoy them. Thank you, Grace, for joining me on this very surreal podcast because we're like looking at each other on our laptops, aren't we? Because we're in a period of isolation. And we can't actually meet to do the podcast, but I was really keen to meet you via Zoom again, because I have met you when you were slightly younger, because you are one of our finalists for the Inspirational Young Women of Portsmouth Awards, and you've got an amazing story. So it's just brilliant that we can get a chance to kind of meet you and hear a little bit about your adventure so far. So you were nominated as an Inspirational Young Woman of Portsmouth, and the person who nominated you, they wrote the following text. Grace and her brother both have a Desmoplakin deficiency and have been very unwell with the condition, with Grace having a heart transplant in 2018. I met Grace when we were both modelling at London Fashion Week. I feel like I should say, darling. Yeah. We realised that we both live in Portsmouth and we have mutual friends. Grace doesn't let a condition stop her doing the things that she loves, which are acting and modelling, and she's a fundraiser for DEBRA UK. Grace is an inspiration to us all. Oh, so how old are you, Grace, if you don't mind my asking?
I'm 15.
You are 15, right. And would you mind I'm really embarrassed to say, I'm not entirely sure what a Desmoplakin deficiency is. Would you mind just telling us a bit about that?
Desmoplakin is like the casing around your heart. I think that's how the doctors always describe it to me. And I have a deficiency, so I don't have enough of it, which means that it's more of a skin condition. So my skin is like sore and blistered all the time. And mainly my heart's effect around it is the casing stops your heart from getting too big. And because I don't have enough of it, my heart is like bigger than the average 15-year-old girl. So I had to have a heart transplant because my heart was too big for my body. It was beating too quickly for my body.
Right. And that was 2 years ago now. So you'd have been...
it was October 2018. So, yeah, 2 years ago nearly.
That's incredible. And I actually met you before then. I was your dance teacher when you were at St. Swithin's in year 3, was it?
Yeah, we used to do it every Friday or something.
Yes.
It was so much fun.
And I really remember you, Grace, and your brother, Freddie, because you had this crazy amount of energy and just, you were passionate about everything. It's like... Yeah, that's... And it's like you woke up excited, stayed excited for the whole day, and then fell asleep mid-sentence about something exciting that you'd done for that day. Yeah. It was really wonderful to work with you. So that's what somebody said about you. How would you describe yourself? If I asked you to give me 3 words to describe yourself, what would you say?
I'd like to think that I'm quite brave.
Yes, you are.
Creative. I love painting, and obviously I love acting, and I like basically anything creative. Yeah. And maybe I'd like to think that I'm kind of wise. People always do say that I'm wise beyond my years. So I'd like to think that I'm wise.
Are you the go-to for people when they're...
Some people just need someone to talk it over to and then validate the decision they're going with, or to know they're doing the right thing.
Yeah. Oh, that's wonderful to hear that. And who would you say has been the most influential person in your life so far?
Oh, gosh, there's so many. Obviously, I'm influenced by a lot of, celebrities, especially ones that do charity work. So Millie Bobby Brown is a huge inspiration because she's around my age. And
okay, I feel like a very old woman now. Who is this person?
Millie Bobby Brown's an actress. She's mainly been known for Stranger Things. So she's
I know her. I know. Is she the lead female in Stranger Things?
Yeah, she's 11, the one with the powers.
Ah, yes.
Yeah.
Oh,
so
I feel cool again. I feel cool again. I know who that is.
She's very inspirational and influential for me because obviously she does a load of work for UNICEF, and she's achieved so much, and she's only 16. And I think in my actual life, probably the most influential person that I've met, maybe Freya, who nominated me. Like, she's got alopecia and she's so like inspiring to me, and it's crazy that like I know her.
And she was actually an award recipient.
Yeah,
she was. She was an inspirational young person last year. Oh,
yeah, that's actually how we got in touch. I saw that she'd won it for Inspirational Women, Young Women of Portsmouth, and I was like, "Oh, I live in Portsmouth too." And we got in touch, and we realised we did the same fashion show, and yeah.
Oh, you've got to tell me about this. How did this happen? How are you? Because I've seen your Instagram page, and you are on fire. How did all that modelling happen?
I've loved acting since I can remember. It was the first Christmas I remember I asked for acting lessons. So when I was in year 6, my mum found Signature, which represent me, on Facebook, and their books were open at the time that she found them. So I signed up, and they represent me now.
So was that for acting, or modelling, Signature?
It's an acting and modelling agency.
Okay.
So it's kind of like a package deal. If you want to go in for one, you tend to go in for the other as well.
Okay.
And I kind of everything was kind of quiet for about a year, and then I got a couple of modelling jobs. And then when I actually had my transplant, I woke up, and within about 3 days later, no, actually it was the same, maybe 2 days. I don't know. I don't really remember. My mum told me that I'd been asked to do the fashion show, Mini Mode. So it was amazing. Like, probably the best thing I could have woken up to.
Goodness me. So your mum was like, so you just had a heart operation, by the way.
Yeah.
That's incredible. That's amazing.
So I don't want to get your hopes up, because we don't know if you're going to be okay like 4 months from now. But it seems like you may be doing a fashion show in February.
That must have been so motivating, though, to just kind of...
Oh, my gosh, it was. And funnily enough, in about 6 days later, maybe less, I was out of ICU up onto a main ward. So maybe it did push me to get out quicker.
Oh, that's wonderful. That's such a joy. And do you, how often do you get to kind of do all that kind of modelling? And
I did a couple things before Mini Mode, like a charity thing and something for a magazine. And then it was very quiet. And then after Mini Mode, things just kind of went a bit mad for a bit. I did a photo shoot for Rankin for this leukemia campaign, I think, or Kent campaign. That was really cool. I did some editorial shoots, but yeah, it was just nuts how quickly everything went from there.
Well, that's just wonderful to hear about. Really wonderful to hear about. And what is DEBRA exactly?
DEBRA is a charity that helps children and families that have someone with EB, epidermis bullosa, which is a condition. And so my Desmoplakin deficiency comes kind of under the brackets of EB.
Okay.
They're super, they've helped my family a lot. And when I was in hospital, because I was in there so long, they actually got me sorted with some special sheets for my bedding so that I didn't get sores on my body that would probably get infected.
Oh, that's amazing. And which hospital were you in? Was that
Great Ormond Street Hospital in London?
Oh, how long were you in there for?
Oh gosh, I found out I needed a heart transplant in June. Up until that point, I'd be going in every 2-3 months, I think. And then I found out I needed a heart transplant. I was in and out for like a week, and then I'd go back home for like a couple of weeks, and I'd go back in. And then in September, I went in and I didn't come out until like November. Okay. So I was in for 2 months.
So what does school look like for you then?
I was actually surprised with how well I managed to keep up with my school, because I'm in year 10 now, so I'm doing my GCSEs. I went into school on the first day back for lunch to see my friends, and then I went into hospital that week, and then I didn't come out. So I missed 5 months of school because I had to do my 3 months in quarantine to help my body build up the strength it needed. Yeah. So I did hospital at school, school at hospital. And then I did some online school for a bit while I was at home. But then I went back to school, and my school have been so supportive. They've been able to help me through everything. They sent me work. They provided all the additional help I needed. And I was able to catch up pretty quickly. So I'm very surprised, but I did.
Amazing. Sounds like you're a really determined person.
Yeah.
I'm not going to lie to you. I think if I had 5 months off, I'd be like, I think I've watched everything on Netflix now.
I did watch Friends. I watched Friends while I was off with my mum, which was not a bad idea when I was in hospital and my spirits were low. But after I came out and I had a massive scar, not the best idea. There was one episode where I was laughing so much. I was like, it hurt so bad.
Oh, don't make me laugh.
I think it was the episode where they're at the beach and Joey wakes up in the sand, and I couldn't stop laughing.
Oh, bless
and I don't know why I continued. I pinched myself. I did everything, but it just gotta let it go.
We're having a bit of a Friends revival in our family, because my son, who's 12, has just discovered it, and he is borderline obsessed with it. So he's managed to watch in about 6 months. He's managed to watch every single episode.
Oh my gosh!
And he's on.
And I mean, I don't blame him.
But yeah,
it's very, very good, timeless show. Very funny.
It is, isn't it? It is.
I mean, he's watching it around the right time with the reunion, hopefully coming after quarantine.
Yeah. Yes, he's hoping. Yeah. He's hoping. So here's a question: what would you say is your biggest frustration as a young person?
Oh gosh.
Anything that makes you eye roll, like that you interact with?
I think it's very frustrating when people neglect the facts. So, for example, when people talk about climate change and people are, no, it's not real. And so, there's a lot of evidence. I think it would be pretty thing if it wasn't real. Someone's playing a very big prank on us. I think majorly when feminism, some people still say that it's about, I mean, there are obviously some feminists that are very aggressive, but we in class watched Emma Watson's amazing speech.
Is that her TED Talk?
Yeah, the one she did, it was the He for She campaign.
Oh, okay.
And it's such an amazing speech. It's so inspiring. And a couple of the people in my class, even after watching that, still had this outlook that feminists wanted men dead. They thought they could rule the world. And they thought that feminists are just trying to get rid of men and say that women are the best kind of people and they deserve everything. And I thought that's kind of very frustrating.
Was that like your classmates type of thing?
Yeah, and honestly, still some a lot of adults, traditional adults, more modern adults, some people just don't understand it, so they hate on it.
Yeah, no, I think I'd agree. I can imagine that is quite frustrating.
Yeah.
Do you ever find yourself getting in debates about things that frustrate you?
Oh gosh, yes, a lot of the time. my school, before obviously quarantine, we had a debate club where we mainly debated things like veganism and the effects on the environment, lots of like political issues, but especially in my English class, because we watch a lot of these speeches. We watched Leonardo DiCaprio's speech, Greta Thunberg's speech on the environment and global warming. Yeah. And then obviously we watched Emma Watson's one. And some of the people in my class still tried to challenge it, but not in like an actual challenging way, more of a way like they're wrong. So I do end up getting in some quite heated debates where I had to shut up before I punch someone.
That's really funny. Thank you. And what are you most proud of?
I think I'm most proud of myself for getting through my surgery. Obviously, I don't have much control over if my heart decides to, stay in my body or decide to die. But I'm really proud of myself that I was able to get through it. I was able to catch up on my schoolwork and come out stronger and better. Yeah.
Yeah, that is quite an achievement. Like I say, I'd be like, I'd have a Netflix fixation at the end of something like that. I don't know if I'd achieve quite as much as you did in that time. What advice would you give your future self?
Ooh.
So, like, if you had a chance to, like, jump ahead
and see my future self.
Yeah.
I mean, it depends what my future self is doing when I'm 30. If I'm 30 and I don't know, hopefully I'm achieving all my dreams when I'm 30, but I think the best advice I give to my future self is don't dwell on things you can't control. Because I do that a lot now, and if I'm still doing it in 15 years' time, then I should really stop. But sometimes I dwell on things that I can't control, like when I got sick, I dwelled on a lot of the stuff like, did I push myself too much? Did I not push myself enough? Was my heart failing my fault? There were so many things I dwelled on, like, was it my fault? Yeah. And I just can't do that because it wasn't, but you just have to keep looking forward rather than looking back and trying to repair something that you can't repair. Like when people say, I wish I could go back in time and retake that test when I know all the answers. It's not going to change anything. You can't do that. So just keep looking forward.
And did you have somebody help you process that? And that?
I had a psychologist who I still see for some things, but obviously because I was 13 when I had my heart surgery, and they consider that like teenagers having that surgery. A lot of the nurses I spoke to said having teenagers that they had to treat and think is probably the worst for them, because when it's little kids, they'll grow up and they'll forget it. Or when it's babies, they'll grow up and they won't remember it. Yeah, whereas teenagers, they will remember it. They understand what's going on. Yeah. And I think.
I can imagine that's quite challenging.
Yeah, a lot of stuff that goes on in your head.
Yeah, well, it sounds like you've got a really healthy outlook on that, and really wise, like you said in one of your 3 words. So nice one. So I've got one last question for you. Imagine I'm paying for an all expenses weekend for you and 4 other friends.
Ooh, 4
Where would you go, and who would you choose and why? So I'm paying for it all. Like,
oh, that's very kind of you.
Yeah.
I would have to bring my best friend Kat, because she's a legend and she gets me through everything. Definitely Kat, and then my friend John, because he's as big a fangirl over Friends as me. He's a fanboy over Friends, and he gets me. We get each other. Like,
that's important.
Yeah, we're devilish duo, whatever you want to call it. Probably, I don't know. This is hard. This is like that game Road Trip. Except in Road Trip, you bring celebrities and you just idolize about how they make your life easier.
So that's 2 people.
Probably my friend Lottie, because we grew up together. and she lives like 2 doors down from me. So if I don't say her, she might hear it.
So this is Lottie Wallace, is it?
Yeah, it is Lottie Wallace.
Ah, she worked on the project.
Yeah, we grew up together. We've like been there for each other through everything. So
she's
she
so
would definitely.
Lovely.
She's lovely, and I'll bring her. And then, who else would I bring?
One more person.
Probably my friend Rose. She's awesome, and we only became friends like a couple months before quarantine, and it's gutting because we just started to become proper friends.
Yeah.
But I'd probably bring her because she's awesome and she's cool, and
awesome.
She's brilliant.
Fantastic.
And
that's a lovely collection.
I don't know.
Where would you go?
I want to say something like mature and adult, like, I know, a cruise or Fiji or Dubai, but I'm going to say Disney World.
Awesome.
Because Disney World is awesome.
And maybe like an all-you-can-eat buffet as well, somewhere there.
Yes.
Yeah.
I went to Disney World for the first time when I was like 12. I loved it. It was so good. And I had some restrictions because my heart was just starting to, get bad. But definitely I would go to Disney World, and I would go on all the rides, and I'd scream my head off, and then I would go swimming, and I'd just have a great time. And I'd also remember not to go on the Rapids ride because it soaked me through and then it went cold.
I've really enjoyed chatting to you, Grace. It's been such a joy.
It's been so nice.
I feel like your passion has increased tenfold since I met you last back in year 3. So please, if you could put that in a bottle, try and sell it because it's beautiful.
Yes.
It was lovely chatting to you. Thank you.
It's lovely to see you again.
Yeah. Okay. Take care.
Take care. Bye.